Hey everybody, Joy here. I'm showing you here how I prepare my fabric to put my pattern on and cut it out for the Sure Fit Designs blouse we just made out of the blueprint. Now I have had my fabric folded in half and in half the long ways and rolled around my foam core board that I call bolts, okay? So since it was folded that way, it now has this big crease in the middle of it. So I always iron that out before I cut out my blouse, because when you cut out your blouse, you want your fabric folded in half. This is the selvage, this is the selvage. You want selvage to selvage and a fold over here. Okay? Because we're going to cut the top out using this fold over here. So be sure you straighten everything. Very, very, very important, especially when you're using these cottons. Are they quilting cottons? They could be. Make a quilt out of it if you wanted to. But I make a lot more clothes. And if you have a rumple bumple that you can't straighten out, turn it over. Yeah, I've got a big rumple over here. A big crinkle. So I'm going to iron it this way. Start out with your fabric prepared properly, or you're going to have issues with it later. All right? Now, yes, I always wash my fabric. Yes, I always iron my fabric. And yes, I have a wonderful steam iron. Remember, my friends, always look in the description box below videos for links. And I will put a link down there to this iron. They still sell it. It's wonderful. It's several $100s, but it's worth every single penny. I love my iron. You'll see lots of people use this iron. I've seen Donna Jordan use this iron. I've seen Peggy Sagers use this iron. I've been through quite a few of them. They don't last forever, unfortunately. I think I paid a little bit extra for a warranty on this one. Well, I hope I did. But oh, they steam so good. They iron so good. See? I'm just getting that fold out of the middle, being sure the fold is exactly in the middle. You want your fold on the straight of grain. Don't just, you know, flop it over and iron it. Flop it over, straighten it out, really, really straight and even. Your selvages will always be straight on a cotton. On a knit, there's just no telling what you're going to get on a knit selvage. Some of the knits roll really, really bad. I just hate it when I get one like that. They say that it rolls to the right side, so I guess if you didn't know which side was the right side, then at least you know that. Alright, now I have that crease all the way out, and my fabric is ready to lay on my table. Put not my blueprint. We've traced the blueprint, made a new pattern, put in our new neckline, added our facing, and we're going to cut it out. And we have our sleeve too. All right, let's turn everything around. Clear your table off, everyone. Yes, yes. I forgot to tell you I'm wearing my Sure Fit Designs again. I have dozens of them. Dozens of them. Do you see what I did different on this one? I'm sure you can see I did something different. Clear off your table. It's really nice to have two tables so you can always throw all your stuff on the other table. Oh. Alright, so we're going to put our fabric on here with the fold toward my belly. The fold toward me. Right here is the fold. Isn't this cute fabric? Now, before you start to put your patterns down, figure out if your fabric has a one-way design. Very important that you don't cut your fabric out with your flowers upside down or your horse upside down or whatever it is. If you feel something See, there's something here. There's something right here. I lifted up my table and there's nothing there. So I'm going to look in between the two pieces of fabric and find out what is wrong. Look here. Here's a big wad of thread. So I'm going to cut that off. We don't want any wads. We don't want any odd wads. That's a new word, odd wad. Okay. Have lots of nice, sharp pins. I use the fine, long glass head pins. I get mine from Amazon. Takes about 2 weeks to get them sometimes. Okay, now let's get our pattern. We're not using our blueprint. This is the blueprint of the front. It says blueprint. This is, let's turn it so it's the same. This is my patternese drawing of the front with the facing. See, this one has the facing on it. It has the 5/8 inch button extension. It has the dart that's a little bit bigger because I made the neck a little bit smaller. I need to go back and make those changes to the blueprint, but I'm not going to do that today. We'll do that when I have time and you don't have to be bored stiff watching me. Now, the front's not going on the fold. The back's going on the fold. I think I told you everything's going on the fold. It's not going on the fold. The front has a facing and it's going to lap over like this one does, and it's going to have buttons and buttonholes. So you remember how you decide the straight of grain? You find a straight place. A straight place. The straight of grain arrow is right here. It's bent a little bit up here from my tuck in the neckline. It's bent a little bit right there, so we just ignore that part. We still have a straight line here, a straight center front line, and a straight line here. So we want to make sure that we're laying this down straight. So we have to get our trusty ruler, slap it down. Lay this on here to what appears to be straight. That appears to be straight. Be sure and lift your material up and make sure you've got material on both sides. I buy 2.5 yards. A lot of you have said, how much do you buy? I buy 2.5 yards. It's always more than I need. That's why I always have leftovers. But I'd rather have too much than too little. Always. Plus, it gives me the ability to make a dress if I want to. All right, so we're going to slap this down. We're going to measure over here to the fold, and that comes exactly to 11. I'm going to slap a weight down. Put that right there on that line that has the arrowheads. Put this, I'm lining this up on 11 right here. I'm holding it down. Now I'm going to move that line with the arrowheads on it to where it lines up with the 11. Then I'm going to come back up here to the top and I'm going to check it again and make sure it's still at 11. And I have needles here on this wall. I hammer old sewing needles in my wall to hold my tools, but they fall off real easy. Okay, well, there we go. There's the front. And this will be my muslin. A muslin simply means trial garment. Okay, so here's my front that's going to button up like this one does. Have you figured out what I did to this top yet to get it to look like this? It has the piping right here. It has really fun buttons. Philly and I bought fun buttons at this place in Tulsa. It's out of business now, but they had the most amazing buttons. So these buttons came from there. They're no longer there. But what you do is you put the facing on the outside of the blouse instead of on the inside of the blouse. Yeah, so that makes a fun, different look, doesn't it? All right, let's get the back. Where's the back? Here's the back. Now remember, this is the blueprint back. This is the back after I tried it on me. After I fixed the neck to match the front V-neck on my new pattern. It has a round back in it, it has a sway back in it. Okay? The blueprint doesn't. But I'm going to change the blueprint before I make before I use it again to trace another pattern. But I can use this pattern for a long, long, long time. All right, so we're going to lay this down. Now here's another little tip. For some reason, the writing on the back is going to be upside down. This is the front of the back where I wrote everything on it, but it's going to be upside down on the material. The front, the writing is up facing me. Why is that? I have no idea. I could turn it around this way, but then I would have to make it go the opposite direction on this fabric. Now, maybe that wouldn't make a hill of beans difference, but maybe it would. I like to always cut my pattern pieces out going the same direction. So I'm going to turn this upside down, and then I'm going to put this point up here and this point down here on the fold. It's not going to look good. It's going to look funny. Part of it's not going to reach the fold. Part of it's going to come over the fold line, but the top is right at the fold line, and the bottom is right at the fold line. We don't care about anything that's in between the top and the bottom. This is Peggy Sager's tip, and she's right. It doesn't make any difference, and your blouse comes out just fine. Now, did you see what I did? I laid it down wrong, and I laid it upside down like I just told you I wasn't going to do. Oh, check your work, y'all. Check your work. Don't just grab the scissors and start cutting. I take all my pieces. I make sure all my pieces are going to fit before I cut anything out. All of my fabric can't fit up on my table. It's not going to fit up on your table either unless you've got two of them put together, or you have a really long dining room table. So I can only cut out 2 pieces. But I'm going to take the sleeve and I'm going to lay it down, and I'm going to make sure the fabric goes far enough, and it does. It goes way past it. But I just want to make sure before I start cutting that there's room for that sleeve. So there's one piece missing. Did anybody notice? Joy, 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 you forgot this, you forgot this, you forgot this. I told you in one of my videos, I wish that I could start over and redo these things, because there's so many things I forget as I'm going, because they're just second nature to me. And I actually don't make the back neck facing. I don't make this right here. I don't make it until I have finished the new neckline on the front and reshaped the back neckline. So many, many times I've got it laying here on the table ready to cut out, and I think, oh, I forgot to make the back neck facing. So all you do is you get a piece of paper, your doctor table paper, cut out a piece that'll be big enough to make your facing with. Back neck facing is not very big. Okay? So you're going to have 4 pieces. You're not going to have a front facing, because your front facing is attached to your front pattern. It's already there. You don't have to cut it out separate. It's already there. But the back neck facing is still separate. So that's it. All I did was lay it on top and trace my facing. There it is right there. So all that's left to do is to label it back neck facing and put the date to match the date on your other pieces. When you're doing sure fit designs, the date is actually your pattern number, okay? So that's real important. Here's the back facing. Center, look at what I did. See what I did? I make so many screw-ups, you guys. It's not the center front, it's the center back. I'm going to turn the F into a B. But other than that, it's ready to go. That F is going to be a B. There we go. Wasn't that fun? That's the center back, Jack. Okay. Now, you can find a little place, someplace to put this. It fits right up here. Find a little place so you don't waste a lot of fabric if you're into saving fabric. That fits right there just fine. It doesn't take up very much room at all. You could turn it upside down. You might even get a little more room. Nope, it's about the same. All right, so we're gonna put that there. Here's the front. We're gonna put the back back. Line the top up, center front, center back on the fold. Line the bottom of the back on the fold, so it's ready to cut. I'm ready to cut out the back, I'm ready to cut out the front, I'm ready to cut out the back neck facing. Then I'm gonna scooch everything up and cut out that sleeve. I'll be back in a second because I've got to check my phone. All right, we're gonna grab a rotary cutter. We're gonna pray that it still works after I've been using it to cut out paper with. Okay, all righty, well, let's go. Now this is gonna be my first actual blouse out of these blueprints, okay? We're gonna see how well I did doing the fixes from the pattern ease. And we pray I did good. Yeah, this is pretty dull. What you're supposed to do now in a perfect world is take your used rotary blades and put them in a holder and mark your holder for paper only. There's my V-neck, and I'll have to cut it half a dozen times here because my blade is so dull. Did that work? Yeah, that worked. Okay, I've got to walk around the other side of the table. This is the facing. This is the facing that's already there. This is the handiest thing. Ah, good, it came loose, yay. I'm going to try another cutter because that one is pretty dull. This is the edge of the facing over here. Let me see if that cut. Yeah, this one cuts a lot better. There we go. Okay. Very good. Now, I'm going to take some pins and stick them through the points of all the darts. Then I'm going to mark those darts with my Frixion markers. So the front should be cut out. I'm having to go over it 3 times. All right, there we go. Is the bottom free? Yes, the bottom's free, so the whole front is cut out. So let me mark. Let me get the camera up closer for you guys. Okay, you've got to get a Frixion marker in a color you know you're going to be able to see. Turn your fabric over and see if it's white on the back, and mine is. So I'm going to get a pink or a red or some color of a Frixion marker, not a pen. There's a product that's carbon paper stuff for dressmaking, and you can stick it between these 2 layers right here. And then you can use this roly-poly thing right here, and you can go like this, and it will mark the carbon paper. But I prefer doing it this way. So I have this pin right here at the point of that dart. I'm going to come in here and mark that dot, just like that. And there it is. That will come off with the iron. Now, on this end, I am going to cut. I'm going to make a cut at the 2 wing ends. We'll call this a wing. We're going to make a cut here and here, not just a little one, 1/4 inch long. I don't mark the center of it, I just mark the edges. You can mark the center if you want to. Then I come in here to where the cuts are and I mark those. Okay? Then I take my ruler and I slap it down. Somebody said, why do you slap your ruler down? I don't know. Why do I do anything? I just do because I think it's fun. Okay, so take your pin out if it gets in your way. Now see, I'm going to tell you, that carbon paper, sometimes it works, Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it'll look really good on one side and you can't see it at all on the other side. When I do it this way, I can see this dart from the moon, okay? That's why I like to do it this way with these friction markers. I want to be able to see this. And I'll mark the other side when I get it separated here. Okay, I have a waist dart. Now, I may not put this waist dart in. I may make the waist dart thinner. I almost always have to extend this dart all the way down the front. I don't know why that is, but on my body, for some reason, it just likes, this one doesn't have, yes it does. This one has it and I didn't have to go all the way down. But sometimes I have to go all the way down. Just, I don't know why. If you have to, do it. It's not going to hurt anything because it's going to have extra down at the bottom that it wants you to take away. Where's my other pin? Try not to pull the pin out until you're done marking your holes. Alright, I got one more pin to put in there now. Got to do this one that's closest to me. Mark the far away ones, do them. Then mark the close up one. And do it. This is really my favorite way. Okay, now remember. Don't hit this with an iron. Don't hit it with an iron yet. Now another thing I mark is where I'm going to fold this facing at. And I mark it by just making a clip. Here it is right here. Making a little clip there. And I'm going to make a little clip at the bottom. Right there. My hem is 1 inch. I'm just making a 1/4 inch slit here. This is where this facing is going to fold. And I'm making a 1/4 inch slit here. So you'll be able to line that up really easy on your ironing board. See the facing? How it's just going to fold in like this? See that? Is that just awesome? I just love it. I love it, I love it. It takes all that seam allowance out of this area here. It makes it so much easier for your machine to put the buttons and buttonholes in. We will still face it. We'll still put interfacing there. And I will have to cut a piece of interfacing for there. But you don't have to sew it on. And I love that about this kind of a pattern. Okay, so that's the front. Way to go. There we are. The front is done. See? So we'll play like the facing's folded in. Hold it up to our shoulder. Play like we fold the dart in. Look there. Can you see already that this is going to fit me? Can you see already? Isn't that fun? Let's cut the back out. I just love doing this. And you know, I've done it so many times. I've made this blouse 100 times. And once you get to the point where you have your pattern so it fits you, you can just go crazy changing the styles for everything. Now we're going to pull this fabric all the way forward so we have room for our sleeve, and I'll back you back up. Here's my back. I'm going to move it down just a hair because when I pulled this fabric up it kind of shifted. I need my heavy weights. Where are my heavy weights? I tell you, you put this on it, it's not going anywhere. Boom! Put that down. Now, in case you're new and you're like, what are those little weights you're using? Here they are. Here's before and here's after. The only difference is I've wrapped grosgrain ribbon around it. This is called a nut. I get these at Ace Hardware in a box of 10, or I think it's a box of 10. And they're in the nut department. They've always been down on the bottom shelf, and there's like a little container that has individual ones, but if you pull out the container, you can get a whole box in the back. If you just ask somebody, hey, where's the nut? Don't ask them where their nuts are. Ask them where Ace Hardware's nuts are. Oh, joy! The things you say. Okay, these are washers. Now, I never could find any washers I thought were heavy enough. These you can get at Lowe's, I think, or at Home Depot, but this is as big as they come. So in here are 3 of them. 3 washers. I'm sure you've seen other girls using these washers, but I don't think they're heavy enough by themselves. So I put 3 of them together and then I wrap them in grosgrain ribbon. Okay? Now my sleeve is upside down. Let's flip it right side up. Make sure you're cutting it the same direction as you cut out the rest of your stuff. And we're going to make sure it's on the straight of grain. So get your ruler. Put her down. You're measuring from your straight of grain line. Your straight of grain line that has arrowheads on the top of it. This goes to 11.5. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to paste with my hand this ruler at the fold at 11.5, and I'm going to hold it. Then I'm going to move my sleeve to where it's supposed to be. Okay? Hold this where it's supposed to be, then move your sleeve to where it's supposed to be and nail it down. Then come back up here and make sure that this stayed put, and it did. Okay? There's the sleeve, there's the back. Don't faint, y'all. I'm gonna go change my blade. I'll be back. Let's see if a new blade cuts any better than an old blade. Let me tell you, these mats on the table are not Olfa mats. This is an Olfa cutter, but these are not Olfa mats. The Olfa mats don't come this big. So I order these. I order them from a place called Quilter's Rule. They're called Mega Mats, and I get them from Quilter's Rule. Their phone number is 800-343-8671. It just happens to be on the mat, okay? But the thing about it is they aren't as good as the green Olfa mats. And the cuts stay in it. So even though I have a brand spanking new blade, I may still have problems cutting this thing out. We'll see. Yes, this is cutting a whole lot better. A whole lot better. That other blade. Now the thing about it is, I have 2 or 3 of these. Maybe 4 or 5. I think I gave some to Lauren. But I'm not going to know this has a new blade in it. So I'm just going to make a little reminder for myself, and I'm going to put a piece of blue masking tape on here. So that says to me, this has a new blade in it, okay? Figure out, tie a ribbon around it, tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree, do something, and then you'll know which one has the best blade. All right, I'm going to go ahead and mark this waist dart the exact same way you saw me mark the waist dart on the front, so you don't need to watch me do that again. Now I'm going to cut out the sleeve, and what I'm going to do, I am going to, now if you have a little bit of extra fabric and your sleeve gets all screwed up for some reason, I've got this much left down here. I could cut another sleeve out. It would have to be a short sleeve, but I could cut another one out. If it just so happens that this sleeve for some reason is too tight or too baggy or too short or too long, I don't know how it could be because I've already tested it, but just in case. People have a lot of trouble with sleeves. I know that. I told you, I think the sleeve is difficult to draw. But once it's drawn, it's not difficult to make, so that's the good part. And the funny thing is, here at this dart, instead of a point going out, it's kind of a point going in. But you make that dart shape the same as you do on your blouse. Shouldn't put your fingers in front of the blade, that's never good. All right. Okay, now what do you mark on the sleeve? On the sleeve, always mark the center of the cap up here. Make a little cut. Make a little cut. You need to know where this center of this cap is because you're going to line it up with your shoulder seam. Center of the cap of the sleeve lines up with this shoulder seam right here. So be sure you mark that. Be sure you mark your notches. Find a pair of scissors that cuts. I've got 5,000 pair of scissors. Most of them don't cut. My Gingers cut the best. My granny Hattie, her name was Hattie. And she thought it was a sin to get angry. So she would never say she was mad and she would never say she was angry, but she'd say, "I'm so provoked. I am just so provoked." get very provoked. Okay, I'm going to cut the wings here on this sleeve dart. Right there, those two little tips. I'm going to cut out this double notch. Be sure to cut out your double notch and your single notch. Hopefully you have a decent pair of scissors and you won't get provoked like my granny. And like me. Alright, all I have to do is mark this point right here where that dart goes. So I'm going to put my pin in, just like that. I'm going to flip it over to the inside, just like that. And I'm going to get my orange Frixion marker, and I'm going to mark that point, and I'm going to mark that point, and I'm going to mark that point, and then I'm going to draw my dart in there, just like you saw me do before. There's my dart in the sleeve. There's my mark at the top center. There's my double notch for the sleeve. I don't know which way you can see this better. And there's my single notch. Okay? So, this blouse is ready to sew together. And I can put this blouse together if the fitting is right. I can put this blouse together in a couple hours easy. Okay? Side seams are nothing. The darts are really fast. It takes a little while to crimp the sleeve and put the sleeve in, and then it takes a while to do the buttons and the buttonholes. But sewing the side seams and stuff, that's really fast. Alright, get rid of all your scraps because you don't want to accidentally pick up a scrap. Okay? So, we've got the sleeves. We've got the back. Oh, guess what? We haven't marked the back darts yet. Let's mark the back darts. When you're making your own patterns, there's a whole bunch of opportunity to make a mistake. So be careful. The more you do it, the easier it will become, I can promise you that. Alright, I'm going to set up my sewing machines with some pretty blue thread, and then I'll be back.